early days, only a spark to light my way. I wanna give out, I wanna give in. This is our crime, this is our sin. But I still believe, I still believe.
Hello, 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 hello.
Through the grief,
We are here.
lies,
We're not there, we're here. If we were there, we wouldn't be here. Welcome into Gridiron 360. I'm Bill. There's Dave.
What's up, governor?
Notice I said Dave is there, not here. Dave is here, not there. Oh, it's fun. Yes, we're going to talk a little NFL Week 7 preview today with you. It's Thursday morning. We got a little Thursday night tussle between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. Kansas City is going into Mile High, getting 3 points. It's funny because on my little parlay pick, it's 3.5. I guess that line moved. Right now, we got a 3-point line that the Chiefs are giving the Denver Broncos. The over-under on this thing is 49. Let's talk. Let's have a discussion. Discuss amongst ourselves. Dave, in fantasy football, you got a little Mahomey going. Why don't you lead this thing off and talk to me a little bit about Chiefs-Broncos Thursday night football?
All right. Well, this game has got some interesting value for a couple of reasons. In the division, you got the Chiefs sitting at 4-2, Broncos sitting at 2-4. So you start to go, like that's not so much a divisional game that's going to change the standings, but it does. Chiefs are actually heading in a much different direction than the Broncos. Chiefs, after starting off 4-0, have given up the last 2 games, and so they've kind of come back down to earth, while the Broncos, starting 0-4, have won their last 2 games, including a shutout last week, which was a nice little move they made. It seems like the Broncos are really starting to get a feel for the defense that Fangio wants to run. Getting some good looks there. Again, we keep reiterating this is a team that lost one of its big ends in Bradley Chubb for the year, but starting to really put it together, which is a nice thing to see for a team that can make a little bit of noise. But also on top of that, we'll get to a little bit later, is the Raiders are at 3-2 right now, so they've already had their bye week this week, and so with the Chiefs loss and a Raiders win, we could have the Grudens jumping into first place potentially. So there is some pressure on the line for Kansas City for several reasons. Number one, their last 2 weeks, their offense has not looked like the offense that we have become accustomed to from last year and then into the first part of this year. You got Mahomes, who's been a little bit hobbled with an ankle injury he got against the Jags and then re-aggravated it last week, if it wasn't already aggravated before that. So you just haven't seen all the magic that you expect to see out of this lineup. Travis Kelce's been relatively quiet in recent weeks, so there's a lot of things going on. We got Sammy Watkins is expected to be out in this game, so it'll come down to their receiving targets. Remember, they got back Tyreek Hill last week, and he actually had a pretty good week.
Yeah, a couple TDs.
Yeah, but that was really it from an offensive standpoint of being able to drive the ball down the field. So in this matchup, what'll be kind of interesting is in an area where even though the Broncos defense has played better, the middle of the field and specifically in the tight ends, they've had a little trouble covering that field. The middle linebackers there are struggling somewhat. So this may be an opportunity for Kelce to get right in particular, which when Kelce's right, the thing about this team is that it really opens up the receiving options across the field. This is a team that obviously we mentioned Tyreek Hill, still has Mecole Hardman, Denarius Robinson.
Mm-hmm. You forgot
Demarcus Robinson. God, because I get Denarius, DeMarcus. Can we what happened to?
Well, they have Darrell Williams. They have
Darrell
Damon Williams. They have a lot of D's.
Yeah, and I'm doing Denarius because I believe that's a Florida State guy. I'm all over the place. DeMarcus, yes.
Yes.
They
have Byron Pringle McCringle.
God help you if Pringle shows up tonight. You're talking about 3 scores put in the bank. Championship.
Woo! Winning big money.
But, again, the Broncos, overall, their defense is very strong. So, what are we going to see here? They've picked it up on offense. Phillip Lindsay, their running attack has gotten a little bit stronger. He certainly is the more versatile back, gets some pass-catching ability out there, and helps open up some safety valves for Flacco, who I have to say, I guess I just want to say this, has played reasonably well for them given what my expectations were of him.
I mean, compared to, what they've had recently, I think I just saw something that, didn't they bring Brock Osweiler back? I saw that guy retire.
Oh, God.
Nice. Brock Osweiler calling it a lengthy career. He's just tired. He's tired. He's worked so hard in the NFL.
Too many big contracts, too many losses.
So, I get, compared to what they've had, even compared to Case Keenum when they had him a couple years back, I think Flacco's a more serviceable quarterback.
Yep. Yeah. The betting line right now, this is a +3 to the Broncos at home. There's a lot of home dogs this week, so the Broncos will play that role. The betting line is really on KC right now. They're on the spread. They're garnering almost 80% of the bets right now. So there's a belief that this KC team is going to get right this week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're seeing. They're both 3-3 against the spread, so it's kind of, it's a toss-up as to whether they'll cover. I will admit, I'm a little bit concerned. This matchup, you bring up a good point to me many a time, is the Thursday night games and the pace at which they're played, and the just given the short week, really matters in the NFL. So.
And I'm looking at this, and this is, along with a couple others that are the same over-under at 49. This is there's 2 or 3 or 4 of them, including this one. But that's the third highest over-under of the week. You got, 2 others that are over 50. Otherwise, that 49's high. But again, short week. These, more times than not tend to be slow games. I think that, I agree with you on all fronts. I think that something's not right with Mahomes' ankle. I do think where Denver's defense might be able to be had is in the middle. But Chris Harris is a good corner, and they've got good linemen. But this is an explosive offense in KC, and they've had a couple down weeks. Even with his ankle, if he's out there playing, he must feel it's all right. Hopefully, it's more on the mend than it's been the past couple weeks. And I just think it's a matter of time before they get back to where they are. That's their explosive offense is who they are, and quite frankly, their defense is bottom 3 in the league, so they gotta be explosive on offense. I think on the Denver side of the ball, again, agreed. Joe Flacco's not done a phenomenal job, but he's done a good job. I think this is a great game. Both the backs, I think, are going to tote the rock, but you said it. Lindsay is the more versatile one. I think he'll catch a lot of passes. I think it's going to be the same for them. I think it's going to be, they could go outside as well, so you might see a little Cortland Sutton, but Emmanuel Sanders is a slot guy.
Yep.
I think he'll do well tonight because he'll be short over the middle, just like you would throw to the back like Lindsay. Maybe even a little Noah Fant getting involved at tight end.
Yeah, something to take note of too, because you're going to have Kelsey through the middle, and his matchup with the linebackers for Denver. But another big thing is Denver's got their nickel back, Bryce Callahan, out. Now I'm pretty familiar with this guy. Left the Bears team. It was tough because they had some guys to pay. He was one of the guys they couldn't pay. Denver paid good money for this guy, and he, when healthy, and this is an example. When healthy, is very, very effective as a slot corner, and he, in that nickel spot, and he is going to be out. And obviously, that that they can spread you out in this offense. Kansas City can. So I also not only look for Kelsey through the middle from that perspective, but also the slot receivers to be able to do some damage in this game.
Who's that going to be? I'm guessing it's Robinson.
Robinson? Well, maybe not. Here's the thing:
I would assume they would put if Sammy's out, You're going to have
My guess is
Tyreek,
Chris Harris is going to be on Tyreek. That would be my bet.
You're going to have, I guess, Hardman and Robinson. But Hardman would probably be outside, no?
Yeah,
I'd
I'd have to kind of look at
see.
the setup, but that I would definitely look for that to be a matchup. Again, it's the middle of the field, and the fact is, here's the thing about the middle of the field.
Pringle McCringle.
Could be, but what you want to look at is when you start talking about throwing over the middle of the field, you got to have guys that are tremendously accurate, can fit the ball in tight windows, can throw over the top, but underneath the help over the top, can throw underneath that, but also get over the linebacking. And, I mean, that is something Mahomes can do really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I look for them to try to exploit both of those options, both the Kelsey and the slot side of this. They have to get right in this game. There's a lot more pressure than you'd think because not only, as I mentioned, the records and with Oakland, you've got a team in KC that's got to go to Green Bay and then has to come back home to Minnesota. So they got some tough matchups coming up, and this is one they've got to take advantage of, especially within the division. My projection on this one is I do believe that the Chiefs are going to win this game and cover the 3 points they're going to give to the Broncos, mostly because they have to. This is a game I expect them to put the pedal to the metal throughout the entire game in order to do that. I think running is going to be a little bit hard to come by. I look for more utilization out of the backfield from a passing perspective in this game. I think this is going to be a high throw game for Mahomes as far as his attempts. And I'm going to go with that. I'm kind of wavering here on the over-under with this because I'm just concerned as to if the Broncos get into a boat race scenario, whether because they're not. I just think their effectiveness is going to be able to run the ball and then shorter passes and then Emmanuel Sanders and all the possession type receptions. So I'm going to go with the under in this one. And I'm wavering, but I'm going to go with the under because I just think the Broncos are going to struggle. I just think this matchup is just too much for them. And I go back to your idea on Thursday nights, it being a little bit slower. So I think that's what I'm going to take.
All right. Well, I like it. I'm going to take Kansas City, too. I do think that this is the game they get right, or at least start to look more like you're used to. So I think 3 is being generous. For the over-under, I'll go opposite. I'll go over just to make it fun.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of with you. I'm wavering. I agree. Actually, on every point you hit Thursday night, that if Denver can keep up, Denver are going to try to slow the game down with their run attack. But I'm just going to, go over because if Kansas City does get right, then there could be a lot of points on the board. And if, they have the majority of them, it might not take much for Denver to get that over-under to 49 and just to be, contrarian there. So I like it. Starting out with a little fun tonight. And for the mere fact that, we heard it on the radio, I hate kind of, rooting for the under. It's more fun, high fly and more points. So,
Your garbage TDs feel so much better.
Yeah, yay. All right, let's move onward. Onward we go. And we're going to hit up the undefeated in the NFC, only undefeated NFC team. The San Francisco 49ers will come across the country to our nation's capital to take on the Jay Gruden-less Washington Redskins. San Francisco is giving 10 to the Redskins. That's, I know they're good, but that is a lot of points, especially coming across the country on the other team's turf. Over-under is 41.5. I like what San Francisco's been doing. I told you, I'm buying it now. I am buying it. They are a team that knows how to run the ball the way you should run the ball, old school running the football. They've got a very stout defense. They've got edge rushers. They've got guys that can stuff the run. They got linebackers. And their secondary is not too bad. I mean, Richard Sherman definitely looks better this year than last year in San Francisco. But, he's not shut down. I think it's a culmination of everything on that defense that's making them all look good. On the other hand, the Redskins are awful. They're awful. It looks like Keenum's going to get the start this weekend for them. Who is the interim head coach right now? It's
Bill Callahan.
Bill Callahan, yeah.
Former Raiders coach in like 2003 or something.
He came out and said that, we're not going to be starting Haskins. That's the right thing. Sometime or another, they're going to, if they continue down this abysmal trend, I wouldn't necessarily say, start him and let him rip, but it'd be time to get him some reps if you're just going to be throwing in the towel.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
That way, when you get to the draft next year, you don't have to go draft, and you have the first pick or the second pick or the third pick between you and Miami and the Jets, which the Jets are looking better, then, maybe you don't have to look at a quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah. So I honestly think this could be, I know that San Francisco giving 10 is a lot of points on the road. I know you are not a fan of teams having to come across the country, whether it's east to west, west to east. But I'm looking at what the 49ers have done thus far this year, and all but one game have they beaten a team by more than 10 points. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they beat the Bucks 31-17, the Bengals 41-17, the Browns 31-3, and the Rams 20-7. Now, again, some of those teams, okay, maybe not so good, so the competition isn't there. But this is Washington, okay?
Yep.
So you can lump it right in.
Yep.
Lucky you, San Francisco. You get another stinky poo on the schedule. I think that this could be another great game for my man George Kittle. He's. I think if the ball's going to go in the air, it's going to go to him. But don't get it twisted. This 49ers team, it's very clear what they like to do. They are a running football team. I think Tevin Coleman's going to tear them up. I think Matt Breida could also tear them up. I think you could have both of them just go for close to 100 yards, much like they did against the Browns at home on Monday night. And both of them could see the end zone. I'm hoping more on the Coleman side because I'm playing them in seasonal fantasy. But daily we have Breida, so I'll be good either way. Hedging the bet. That is what you call hedging your bets.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, San Francisco takes care of business. I'm going to take San Francisco to cover that 10. And I'm going to say under on this. I just don't see where the production's going to come from Washington. I mean, it could be just like that Browns game, 31-3. Look at all those, 31-3, 20-7. Well, those last two were under the 41, but those are other teams that should have been able to score. I just don't see where the production is going to come from. I see Washington's quarterback being on their back or under duress most of the game. There could be some picks. San Francisco's defense could be a really good fantasy play this week, however you look at it. I could totally see this. I don't know what kind, Adrian Peterson, like I had said last week, they were playing Miami, so that might have been the only week you might see a little bit of the old AP back. I don't know where else that's going to be for them. I don't think he'll really do much. This is a young defense. They're fast, so that's an old guy that doesn't have the hops, the skips, and the jumps that he used to, and that young defense could give him fits. It's going to end up having to be. They're going to have to come back most of the game, I think, and it'll be tough because again, San Francisco runs the ball. They'll control the game. That's why they're so good. That's why they're undefeated. If you can do that, you control a lot of the game. So yeah, that's where I'm going with it. I'm going to take the Niners to stay undefeated and to move themselves to 6-0 and to cover the 10 points on the road in Washington and stay under the 41.5.
Ditto on every single thing you said. I mean, really, that's the worst thing for the Redskins is the fact that the Niners could come out throwing the ball and they run the ball better. Yeah. So even when it gets into, even if they get a big lead, I think it's just, you're going to see runs get snapped off. AP had a great game against one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the Miami Dolphins, and that ain't happening in this game. You might get what would push this is if somehow, which this would be the most realistic possibility, is that San Francisco starts a little slow and they're able to throw the ball early and maybe get McLaren, some big plays early on, and somehow
Washington,
yeah, and somehow score like 13 to 17 points, that's where it's going to push the over. I mean, I look at this and I struggle. I think the Redskins could maybe score 10 points, which means that San Francisco's got to put up 31. I think if they get ahead a couple of scores, you're going to see the running game, which even though they'll still score, they'll drown the clock. It's just I struggle to see them hitting that mark, and the Redskins could get donutted in this game with the way they're playing right now. Again, the one thing that just kind of pulls me on the over-under is that across the country, because you can get some lag, and it's a 1 o'clock game. If it was a 4 o'clock game, I would say, no, whatever.
No worry. No.
But that 1 o'clock game, I mean, that stuff does tend to play a little bit, but I just think the the Niners are way too dominant right now, and all of the ways they're dominant are the only hopes for the Redskins, and that's bad for them.
Yeah, I mean, look, if McLaurin's the guy for the Redskins at wide receiver, I mean, he's done some damage this year. But keep in mind, he still only is getting, I don't know how many targets, but he's still only averaging around 3 or 4 receptions a game. And so where he's getting all his yardage and on the and his touchdowns, I mean, they're mostly big plays downfield. One, I don't think Keenum will have,
You're going to have that kind of time.
He's not going to have that kind of time. That offensive line's not good. Two, I think that the San Francisco defense will have an easy time to shut down the run, put pressure on Keenum, and the secondary will keep everything in front of them. I don't think they'll have any of those things where you're going to see him go downfield. The thing about San Francisco's offense, though, is I hear you throwing the ball, but if they throw the ball, it's going to Kittle. I hope it's like a 20-yarder, but it's not going to be a deep ball. And Dante Pettis was their deep ball guy last year, has done nothing this year. Deebo Samuel, he's done some things, but a lot of it is on like a little quick end around, a pop pass. Maybe it's something quick to get the ball in his hands and let him get the yak.
Yep.
Not necessarily downfield, but they could do that too, and he's produced a little bit there. So, I think everything we said is pretty much how it's going to go, my friend. Especially coming across the country, like you said. I mean, what better way to alleviate, that lag or to wipe out the cobwebs than just to, line up and pound the rock with the run game.
Yep.
Easy. And they're good at it. So that's where we're going on that. Move on to my G-Men. They welcome the Arizona Cardinals to MetLife Stadium in New York. The Giants are giving 3 points to Arizona. The over-under is 51. It's high. And I know why, because, the defenses. The defenses, no respect for the defenses, and they haven't shown it. Even though we started to show some things for most of the game against the Patriots last week. Giving 3 like that at home is a pick 'em. That's basically what when you give 3 points to the other team, but it's on your turf, that's pretty much a pick 'em game. The high over-under... Yeah, it could go that way. I could see it going back and forth. Here's what I like. My boys are coming back. I told you I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this offense can operate with all of our tools. Barkley is a full participant in practice this week. He is expected to play. Evan Ingram, full participant in practice this week. He's expected to play. I haven't really heard a definite one way or the other on Sterling Shepard. I think there's hope, but, I don't know. And I talked about it after last concussion, another one. And, unfortunately, this young man's career may be over. But we found, without all these weapons, some semblance of an offense here and there. We found some receivers in Darius Slayton that's been able to produce for us while the others are gone. Golden Tate's back, so now he's going to get in the mix with all this stuff. So I am excited. I do know that our defense is vulnerable still. What I liked last week is, as I had said, is that we were good inside on the defense, and Brady doesn't move out of the pocket. However, Kyler Murray does, and that does concern me a bit. He could pile up some yards on the ground in this game very easily. I could see this thing, with our weapons back in full force, David Johnson has been banged up and been, not really hitting the field at practice, but I think they're just holding him out because he's hurt. He should play, but we'll probably see a good bit of the Chase Edmonds kid behind him as well, if that's the case. I think my Giants take this one. I think we take another victory, and with the Eagles and the Cowboys having to play each other this weekend, we will hopefully, with a victory, tie third place, even with the losing, or second place, even with the losing record in the division. So I'm going to take my Giants to cover that 3, and I'm going to go over in this game. I think it could be a high-flying affair, unfortunately, for the defenses.
All right. I mean, I agree with you. What I like the most about this game, so I'm going to agree with you on the spread and the Giants taking it. I'm going to take the under on this, and I'll tell you why. I think this. Number one, Daniel Jones just got thrown the keys to the Ferrari with Saquon coming back. And this guy with a running game and time to throw in the pocket, which I think he's going to get, he's already proven that he's good at fitting the ball in the windows, and ball placement is excellent so far for a guy this young. I just think he takes advantage of it. I think what's going to help the Giants handle the Cardinals in this game. I could see this being more of a shootout, but I think the Giants are going to be able to score early and get the Cardinals a little more one-dimensional, and I think that's going to benefit their defense, and I think they're actually going to be able to keep them off the board more so than some other teams. I understand the Giants' defense is not the strongest defense in the world, but I just think that when you get them one-dimensional, even with Kyler Murray being able to run, I think you can spy on this. I liked what you said about with the Patriots last week, about your ability to get push up the middle, which, allows that quarterback to run out. But when he's on the run all the time, that's going to make getting the ball downfield harder if he's not picking up first downs. So
the guys aren't going to be as wide open as they were at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, really, Kyler Murray would give anything to have the weapons that now Daniel Jones is starting to get, and I mean especially Saquon Barkley. I mean, you're talking about the best pure runner in football, and he catches the ball and is a tremendous safety valve. I mean, what a weapon to have. If he's healthy and everything says that he's practicing well and that there are no limitations.
Look,
this could be
pushing
dangerous.
to get back. So, was I concerned about them saying he might come back like a week or two ago? Yeah, I thought it was too early, even last week. But he's a freak, dude, and he's a athletic workout football junkie. And so the first thing he did when he hurt that thing was, start rehabbing the best, the most. He is ready to go. And understand this. You keep saying Daniel Jones has been given the keys to the Ferrari, and I agree with you. But guess what? Saquon Barkley has been given keys to a Ferrari as well, having a quarterback now that can make it not all Saquon.
Yep, he can lessen the pressure in the box.
It's good. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
And I guess so. My belief on the under is that I just believe the Giants can be so much more explosive than they've been, and which is impressive because in some games they've been explosive even without all the weapons. I just think this, and it's at home, and they're coming across the country. I just think there's too many things working against the Cardinals. This is not their get right. I like them. But this is the problem. They've got Kyler Murray, and they're void of all these weapons that the Giants are now starting to get back. And Saquon Barkley, I'll say it, is to me healthy, by far the number one running back in the NFL. I'll take him every day of the week and twice on Sunday over Zeke. He's got so much ability. This is a guy that has done so much with so little in the beginning, early parts of his career.
Very little time.
Yeah, and it's just, so to me, him coming back, I'm stoked. I wish the game was on TV here because I would love to watch Saquon Barkley play in this game.
Find a place to watch that.
Yeah,
that's I gotta find it. Yeah, I'm excited. Look, Christian Kirk may be back at wide receiver for the Cardinals. I don't know a definite on that, but it looked like that he might be getting back to being back there. But I don't think it'll really matter. And yeah, man, I am freaking stoked. I haven't been this excited to watch my team play in quite some time. So it should be a fun game.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. We have the Miami Dolphins coming up to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Were they? No, Miami played Washington last week. Buffalo was on a bye last week, especially after Josh Allen getting banged up a couple weeks back. It's good that he's had a couple weeks to get himself right as rain. Mm-hmm. The Bills are giving the Dolphins 17, and it's a 41-point over-under. What do you think?
I'm going to make this one quick and simple. I'm going to take that the Bills do not cover and they hit the under. And here's my reasoning. I don't know that the Dolphins are going to score a point in this game. But the reason I'm going to take the under is kind of probably a foolish one, but it's just not the way the Bills win.
Yep.
That's it. That's really it. It has nothing to do with the fact that I don't think they're going to dominate this game from beginning to end. The Bills just don't win this way. So that's my only reasoning, and I kind of like that about them, to be honest with you. I'm all over. Like, I love the Bills in this. They just don't win that way. But they could very easily. I mean, hell, they could cover that spread with defensive scoring the way Miami's playing and the way their defense is playing. But I don't know. Something in me just tells me that's just not the way they'll win. Now, do I think they're going to win by 10 points? Yes. Or more. But I just don't know that they'll get to 17.
So Ryan Fitzpatrick's getting the start over Rosen. No
Yep.
Fitz magic going to happen?
No, I mean, he might move the ball and chew up some time. He was definitely more efficient. But understand, again, for all the Fitz magic, there's Fitzcraptic, like he could throw 3 picks in a game too. So, and this would be a team he would do it against. I don't know. This is total gut. I'm not going to use all the logic I've used in these other games. I just look at the Bills team and they just don't win this way. That's not the way they win. That's just not the way they look. Doesn't mean they're not going to dominate the game. Just they don't. I don't know. They just don't win this way.
Well, I want to be a little contrarian, and I will as we move forward, but not here.
Okay.
I agree with you. I think that the Bills will cover. I think it'll stay under.
So you think the Bills will cover?
Yeah.
Or the Dolphins will cover? I have the Dolphins and the points.
Hold, please write it down. Sorry, you have Miami and under.
Miami, Bills to win, but Miami to not cover. Yeah,
Right,
and
so
the
you're
under.
taking Miami on the spread, and you're going on the under.
Yep.
I'm going to take the Bills
Okay.
to cover, just so we have a little contrarian, and I'll take the under as well. Look, it doesn't matter whether it's Fitz magic or not. You know what he has to deal with? One of the best defenses in the league.
Yep.
And they're rested. Okay? Yep. And they're at their own house. It'll be chillier up in Buffalo than it is down in sunny South Beach. And that does matter. It doesn't matter all the time, but it does matter in certain places. Buffalo's one of them. Denver's another. If the NFL, if a team were to have home field advantage, I look at it being because of the weather conditions and one team that is used to them and another team that is the complete opposite and not used to it.
I don't even know if the Dolphins are used to playing football, to be honest with you. That's just me. That's
I
based off what I've
certainly
seen.
not this year. But yeah, I'm going to take the Bills to cover the 17. I think that this will be a great game for my man Josh Allen. He does it all. I think that Singletary, is supposed to be back. If he is, he'll get the touches. But between him and Gore, they'll do fine on the ground. I mean, really, Josh Allen is the man. Yep. So I think it could be a good day for John Brown. I mentioned that to you. He's going to be a deep ball guy, and I'm sure he'll have some wide open looks. And Josh Allen throws a good deep ball. The dude could chuck it all the way down from one end of the field to the other if he wanted to.
Yep.
So I think they'll cover the 17, but I do think it'll stay under just because I don't know that the Dolphins will score a point either. More so on the fact that not just that they got nothing and haven't shown anything, but because they're facing a very good defense. I'm going to say it every week in all the casts. I like the Bills' defense. They will end up top 5 at the end of the year. They are good. And that's all we'll say about that. Jags go up to Ohio to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Jags are giving the Bengals 3.5 points to 44 over and under. I think last week, was that the first loss that the Jags have had under Minshew, or no? No. I'm sorry. That's the second loss they've had under him, I think. It's the second. Yeah. Because they lost the week before to the Panthers. I think that was in London. So, look, it was a rough game last week. The Saints and the Jaguars tangled. It was very low scoring, 13-6. I think that's kind of indicative of why we see the over-under the way it is in the New Orleans-Chicago game, to be honest with you. But Teddy Bridgewater, though he might not be as explosive at the helm as Breeze, has been getting it done. This team has been getting it done without the leader of the team. On top of that, you've had an Alvin Kamara, and he should have played again this week, but he's been banged up. And we said it in our fantasy cap. Latavius Murray is playing the Mark Ingram role, and he's playing it very well. So it doesn't matter if Kamara's not in. It does, but if he's not getting
we're on the Jaguars Bengals though. You're getting to New Orleans. You're getting to New Orleans.
I'm sorry.
You're jumping ahead.
Sorry. Jaguars Bengals. So yeah. The Jaguars took a tough one last week. Now, here's what I do think is going to happen. I think that Leonard Fournette is going to run all over the Cincinnati defense. I think he could go for $150, man. And I think that it will be all day. Just keep giving him the ball. I think it could be, I don't know, man. DJ Chark could go crazy. It might. This Cincinnati is becoming there are really some bad football teams, and Cincinnati's becoming one of them too. I just don't know what they got. Now, AJ Green, is he going to be back? We don't know. If he is, it might be in very limited capacity. It might be put as more of a decoy, but I don't expect a whole lot from him. I guess what I expect is are they going to get any better when he's back to full strength, meaning Cincinnati? I don't know, buddy. I think the Jaguars are gonna win this game. It's the hook. It's the half that's getting me. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the Jags. I'll take them to cover it, and I'm gonna say under on this thing because I think it's gonna be a ground attack with Fournette, and I think that'll keep points off the board, quite frankly.
All right. Well, one thing I'll say, I think the Bengals have shown an ability to score points at times. Not win, but score points. I think the Jags are going to take this. I think they're going to have a chance to have their offense get in a much better position against this defense between not only the fact that they're going to run the ball well, but I think it's going to open up the passing game. So I think right now, what we're going to see is I think the Jaguars are going to score some points. I think the Bengals will score a moderate amount of points in two ways. One, I think they can get downfield in the first half and maybe score 10 points. And then I expect, a little bit of garbage time trying to catch up. So to me, I'm going to go with the Jags. I think they handle the 3.5 without a problem, but I do think they're going to go over in this game. So I'll be a little contrarian with you on that one. I think there's going to be a little bit more scoring. So I'm going to take the Jags minus 3.5 and the Bengals and Jags to go over the 44 points. So we're going to move on to the next game, and this game's got some significance, as I mentioned when I was talking about the Chiefs and the Broncos. The Raiders could potentially be playing for first place come Sunday. I watched this team take care of the Bears and really, from a running perspective, made our defense look very poor. I think that the Packers can be run on in this game, and I think it's going to be close. I could see the Packers edging it out, but I'm not feeling the 4.5 points that they're going to get on this game. I think the Packers, again, they're a little bit depleted. There's some issues there in the passing game, but nothing that can overcome a Rodgers comeback. But at the same time, 4.5 points. I mean, you gotta be scoring. You gotta have a pretty good lead to have that. I think the Raiders kind of pulling some things together. They get Zay Jones. I'm not really sure he's going to be as big a factor in this game. But certainly that does help make their passing game have a little bit more options. I believe Tyrell Williams is going to play in this game. So I really, again, I guess I just look at it. I think the Raiders I'm going to take the Raiders with the points, with the reality that I think the Packers can still win this game. I just don't think 4.5 is good. And on this game, I'm going to take the under on this for the Packers and Raiders. So, based off that, what do you see on the Raiders-Packers game?
I think it could be another good day for Aaron Rodgers. I think that it's not going to be like last week. I think Detroit's got a good defense. They were on the road. And I think that the Packers can get up in front of Oakland in this game, whereas they were trailing until the last couple seconds to win the game last week. So with that, though Rodgers, I think, can have a good day, I think that the key for Green Bay is to get back running the ball, preferably with Aaron Jones. I know Jamal Williams came back, and they split up the carries before he got concussed or hurt. And last week they did it again when he came back. But, they'd be right to stick more with Jones. I feel like he didn't have a good week last week, and I think part of that was having Jamal Williams kind of looking over his shoulder and knowing he's going to get some of his touches. I think Aaron Jones is much better when you get that engine up and running and just ride it out. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, it would behoove the Packers to establish a good run game against Oakland. Oakland's not that bad on defense, man, and their secondary is pretty good. And Devontae Adams may be out again. It's looking like it's going to be that way. So you're going to have this mishmash of characters come in and fill the void. We had talked about it before. MVS and Allison both got banged up in that game. MVS came back. Allison looks like he'll play this week, I think. But, who's to say, these guys, they're not Devontae Adams.
Yep.
Jimmy Graham can't catch the ball. And I think Oakland is going to have a great day with Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
I think this is a Josh Jacobs type day. And I think Green Bay, I agree with you. I think that Green Bay is going to win the game, but I think 4.5 is just a little more than I'd like to see because I do think, Oakland's coming off a bye, whereas Green Bay's coming off a short week. And so it's, it is at home in Lambeau. It'll be chilly, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, 4.5 is just a little more. I haven't seen really Green Bay do that to a team where they've gotten out by, a score or more. It's every game, and I don't have the scores up, but every game's seemed to be fairly close. Yep. If not by the score, but just from what you're watching. So I'm going to go with Oakland, with Green Bay to win the game, but Oakland to cover the 4.5. I'm going to go over on this.
Okay.
One of the reasons is to be contrarian. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just think that, Oakland can keep up, and, I think it'll be back and forth.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next game. This game is a local game for us. The LA Rams at 3-3 are heading to Atlanta, take on the Falcons at 1-5. The Rams are giving the Falcons 3 points.
Rams.
Yeah. The over/under is, I believe that's the highest one of the day, is at 54.5.
Rightfully so.
Or of the week, excuse me. Here's kind of my thing with this. Understand something right now where the Rams sit. They just made this big trade for Jalen Ramsey.
I don't know if he's going to play, dude.
So regardless of whether he does
play, and if isn't he banged up? Isn't he dealing with
he's got he's got the back issue. But the real question becomes: was the back issue real?
Yeah.
So I guess we'll find out this week.
The whole game, then that was a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah. So, but here's what the Rams are looking at, and this is as much of a must-win game in two aspects. Not only they got to win for the win, but they got the Rams, but they got to get their offense right because right now they sit 2 games behind both the Seahawks and the 49ers in the win column. And the Niners still have a game at hand because they've already had their bye. So you got the Seahawks at 5-1 and the Niners at 5-0. So right now they're looking at teams like the Bears, the Vikings,
Everyone in the NFC North.
whoever in the NFC East happens to lose out of this Dallas Philadelphia game, and even the Giants, if the Giants take care of business. So they're playing for a wild card already because, I mean, a 2-game lead is pretty significant. They are going to need, they've already lost a game to the Niners. They would have to sweep Seattle to recover those 2 games. It does not look good for them. They've got a first-place schedule, which means they're going to get the Bears still. They've already played New Orleans, and so they would have to play Dallas, right? They have not played Dallas yet, correct?
Who's that?
The Rams. So they got in the NFC.
The Rams have to play. Let's see.
Who was in front?
They've got Falcons. Then they're at home against the Bengals.
Right, but who is the
Steelers, Bears, Ravens?
Who was number one in the
Cardinals,
East last year? It was
Seahawks,
Dallas, right?
Yeah, and they've
Wasn't the
No.
Eagles, was it? It was Dallas. It was number 1. So
they're not playing the NFC East this year.
no, but they have to play the first place team for the other divisions they're not playing.
It is Dallas. I'm sorry.
So-
Yep. They
so
played
they've got-
Dallas on December 15th.
Yeah,
in-
so they
at
got a
Jerry.
rough road ahead, and understand Dallas may very well be fighting for their playoff lives already. So
Yeah, dude. Let me. I was running through it. Let me run through it again. Like they got the Falcons, then they are at home against the Bengals. All right. Then they go to Pittsburgh, who is starting to surge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then they have you guys at home. Then they have the Ravens at home, which though I'm not a
and let's be honest, the
complete
Rams
believer in the
If
Ravens.
the Pittsburgh game
they-
wasn't a home game, then this ain't going to be a
Yeah.
home game.
Then they have the Cardinals twice. That's their benefit. They have the Cardinals twice because outside of that,
Yep.
like I just said, the Ravens, they're at home against the Seahawks. They're on the road against the Cowboys. They're on the road against the Niners.
Yeah, so and again, you've got a guy like Gurley, definitely struggling health wise. Goff is playing probably the worst football we've seen him play. So there's a lot going wrong with the Rams right now. Now that being said, I guess my point is, I think the Rams take this game. I think they easily cover because they're playing one of the worst teams in football. Certainly, I think bottom 5. So that's going to be the challenge. I don't think the Falcons are formidable against really anybody. So it's a chance for them to get going and get moving. The thing about it is the Falcons are gonna probably score some points. It's possible they don't. I mean, I saw what Tennessee did to them, but I do think they will score some points. I think there are some favorable matchups, particularly Ridley and Hooper on this team that can move the ball down the field. But Matt Ryan's looking at his feet too much, and Julio, if Ramsey plays, is probably going to get shut down for 2 reasons. Not just because Julio can't get him the ball or can't get the ball against Ramsey, but also because Matt Ryan can't get it to him to even give him a shot.
Even if Ramsey is playing and he's strapped on Julio, I still think they'll give extra help.
Yeah, I think this. So the one thing is I don't know that we're going to cover because I think the Rams can be a little better defensively. So I'm going to take the under, but it wouldn't shock me if it was the over. But I definitely think the Rams are going to cover those 3 points and more because I just think the Falcons are that bad. And again, the desperation has started for some teams right now, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some desperation as we get further down this list.
Yep. I'm with you. The Falcons. Here's the thing: the Falcons do somehow tend to play better at home normally. This year has not been the case. Their offensive line is abysmal, and there is still one of the best players, if not the best player in the NFL on defense on the Rams team in Aaron Donald.
Yep.
And he will be. And Matt Ryan has not looked comfortable all year now.
Yep.
To his credit, he's put up 300 yards or more every game, but understand they've been behind every game.
And their running game is abysmal.
Yeah,
non-existent.
look, don't think what you saw out of Devontae Freeman last week, which wasn't great, but I think he saw the end zone twice, is something that's going to continue to happen. The guy, you could just see it. He's lost a step. A lot like the guy, love him to death, but he's lost a step. And Ito Smith looks like the better back, but I don't think by any means he scares anyone.
Yep.
I think that it's going to be a bit of the same old for the Falcons. They're going to be behind. They're going to be going to the air most of the time, or at least will need to go to the air, whether the turd cutter at offensive coordinator is still trying to sandbag this thing and running the ball late in the game when they're down by a score or more instead of trying to chuck it. I'm not talking about make them respect the run, because that's not what we're talking about here.
Yep.
But I said it before. If you're the home team and you're giving 3, that's a pick 'em to me. I think that Goff has been awful. I think that this whole running back situation is a mess. Malcolm Brown came in last week because Gurley was banged up and didn't do anything. He did diddly squat is what he did. I'd be interested. I think that Darrell Henderson kid is somebody they drafted this year. Am I correct? He's a rookie. Mm-hmm. And, there was a lot of talk of him, especially in fantasy drafts, as maybe someone to stash if Gurley gets hurt, if they do hold Gurley, and then all of a sudden Malcolm Brown came into the fold. I think sooner or later this Henderson kid's going to get involved for them, because I don't think Brown has really done what they need. I don't think he's anything special. Okay? Gurley is when he's right, and they're using him right, or when the whole team's right. One thing to me that does kind of bother me, I love these young coaches and these offensive-minded coaches and high-powered stuff. It's great to see these young guys getting head coaching jobs if they're worthy, and I don't mind McVay at all, or McVay where he came from, or now the McVay coaching tree with guys like Zach Taylor, that's the head coach of Cincinnati,
or Matt LaFleur,
So I don't mind it at all, but maybe it's the lack of experience because he's so young, because I'm not just saying as a head coach, but, even just as a coach, as a coordinator, seeing certain situations year after year after year, adjusting to certain situations, because if he's such a great offensive mind, they haven't adjusted to the fact that Gurley's not, or the running game's not getting it done. They haven't adjusted to the fact that Goff can't seem to get it done. If he's such a great offensive mind and it's going bad like this on the offensive side of the ball, I would expect them to try to, cater to where they might look for strengths and cater to it, instead of just rolling about the way it is and it's still just not right.
Yep.
I think that the receiving core this game, though, for the Rams, actually on both sides of the ball, this is going to be a wide receiver fest. Yep. I think I could see Brandon Cooks having a game that people, know him for. He's a guy that has a low floor in terms of his production, but a very high ceiling. This could be a high ceiling game for Cooks. Mm-hmm. Cooper Kupp, I think, will do his thing. I think Robert Woods will do his thing, and I just think all of those things, because the running game and they kind of mirror each other on the offense. The running game is bleh. Their offensive lines are bleh. Okay, Rob Havenstein has been there forever. I think he's their right tackle. He's not that old, but what happened, man? The guy's been, people are he's like a revolving door over there. So Grady can come at him up the middle, but, the defensive line for the Falcons isn't nearly as intimidating as Aaron Donald and those gents over on the Rams side of the ball. I'm going to agree with you. I think the Rams win this game. I think they're going to hopefully start to look more like at least Goff and the receivers that we're used to seeing.
Yep.
I'm going to go over in this game. I think a ton of points are going to be scored. I don't see how these defenses are going to be able to stop anybody. So I'm going to agree with you on the Rams to outright win the game, but definitely cover the 3. But I'm going to take the over where you went under.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so moving on, we got another. This game is a little bit of a heavyweight battle we got, which is the Houston Texans coming off that huge win against the Chiefs, going against the Colts, who were on a bye week last week. Colts are giving a point in this game to the Texans with a 47.5 over-under. So what say you on this one?
Well, I noticed that the games you starred on the board, there were 3 games, and all of them outside of your team. Oh no, I'm sorry. This beside 2 of the 3. our NFC North battles. No wonder you think that they're so good.
Well, I mean, the stats show it. 500 or better is the only division.
Shut up. It's my turn to talk. I kid. Outside of the Giants-Cardinals game, because the Giants are my squad, we got everybody coming back, and I'm excited about it. This game I am very excited about. You were right to start. Texans, Colts, these teams are duking it out right now in the AFC South. They are the two teams really that, one of these two is going to come out, I think, as the division winner. Deshaun Watson is on a tear right now. But this is a stingy Colts defense. They're coming off a bye. Jacoby Brissett has played very well for them. He is no Andrew Luck, but he's doing very well. What concerns me is if you look at because I like the Texans, obviously. I think I've said that just because they've got some of my Clemson guys. What concerns me for the Texans is that if I look at defense on defense, I think the Colts defense is definitely better than the Texans defense. And though offensively, I think that the Texans are way more explosive, I'm going to have to lean in this game on the defenses a little bit, and it concerns me. Now, Indy is getting one at home. Is that what it is?
Giving.
They're giving one at home. It's a pick 'em. I'm going to take... I think Houston is on a roll. I think this could be a good game for Marlon Mack. I think he could run wild against this defense. It's just, especially on the interior, I love my man DJ Reader and Carlos Watkins, two other Clemson Tigers that play D tackle for the Texans. But the D line isn't. Watt's not what he used to be, and I just think that Marlon Mack could have a great day on the ground. Saying that, I think that I still think that Houston has enough firepower to get it done. We've seen them thus far this year face adversity late in games, have to come back, and to be able to do so, I think that is tremendous notch on their belt, and they can use that adversity and having how they faced it moving forward. I'm hoping, because I don't not like Bill O'Brien, but I'm not a huge fan. Again, one of those Bill Belichick coaching tree guys that, we never really see them be that great. If any of them have, it's been this guy that's been the most successful of them in Houston. But I'm hoping Bill O'Brien it doesn't seem like there's that great flow relationship with the quarterback. Not that it's ugly, but it just seems more like a college coach and a college kid player. And in the NFL level, kind of like you see with Rodgers and LaFleur now, back in the day before some other coaches when he was really hitting his stride, they have a good relationship with each other. And I'm hoping that is coming to fruition with O'Brien and Deshaun. Again, I think this could be a good day for DeAndre Hopkins, but they're going to blanket him, and Fuller's going to be the high ceiling guy, the deep threat, and you hit a couple of those, and it could spell doom for Jacoby Brissett. He's been very good, but he's nowhere to the level of Deshaun, and T.Y. hopefully will be back in full swing. I mean, I really think that the bye and being at home will help Indy. But I'm going to go with it's a pick 'em. And I'm going to go with my Texans. Call me a homer. It's high-powered, and, though I think the defense for Indy's better, I'm going to go with the Texans. Over-under, I'm going to say under, because I do think that it will be the defense for Indy will slow Houston down a little bit to not put 40 or 50 or something like that on the board. But I do think Houston wins this thing outright. They cover the one, and that it'll stay under.
Okay, is it my turn to talk now? Am I allowed to talk?
No. Next game,
okay.
That is the end of the 1 p.m. games. We're going to go to the 4 p.m. slate. Oh, no, it's not the end. Where is that game? No, we have to go to Minnesota, Detroit. Oh, I'm sorry. I need your pick. You can give me your pick. That's it.
All
right, kid. Go ahead.
So I'm allowed to talk?
Give me a little flavor.
Flavor
Flav is the one. Public enemy number one.
don't ever tell me that it's your turn to talk if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, buddy.
Yeah, we're going to get a little contrarian.
I'm taking the Colts. But you're a blind squirrel, and you may have found a nut, and then I will take the under on that, too, as well.
You have a lot of unders this week, bro.
I do.
It's
I do.
all under.
I do. You got a lot of home dogs, too, man. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens. So, in this game, I just think the Colts, couple of things you mentioned on defense. You got a bye week for the Colts. They had a little chance to get healthy. They're getting Darius Leonard back, if you'll remember him. He was the ROI last year. And that's
Do you know this? Go ahead and tell your thing. I want to tell Darius Leonard. I want to tell a story about DL.
And they also get back Clayton Gathers for this game, too. Those guys both had concussions, so they got that. Texans are riding a little high after Kansas City. Kansas City was depleted on defense, and now Houston lost two guys on their defense in Bradley Roby and Titus Howard. So, they're both heading in different directions. Howard. And there's one thing. The Colts play the Texans very tough at home, historically. So I got the Colts winning this game. I think it'll be close, and I agree with you, though, that they will stay under. So I will and I'll also say you also don't know what the hell you're talking about because there is one more game left on the 1 o'clock slate. You don't know what you're talking about.
Wait a minute.
Especially after you're preaching.
Yes, I know.
All right, go ahead. Tell me your Darius Leonard.
My Darius Leonard story. This boy is from Nichols, South Carolina. Okay, he's 24 right now. Let's see. Again, Nichols, South Carolina. I'm a Clemson guy, right? 6'2", 230 pounds, linebacker. Wanted to come to Clemson real bad. We didn't even recruit him, let alone offer him. He goes to South Carolina State, okay, smaller school, gets drafted by the Colts, becomes Rookie of the Year. Now, we go at Clemson, our staff goes through a very rigorous, as a lot of schools do, recruitment process, but we look for guys that are built specifically in character and athletically for our system and for who we need, in our system at that time. And we never question it, we never regret it, we never go back, and I've never heard any of the coaches, especially Coach Swinney. There is one man that he's come out in his career as a coach at Clemson saying, I wish I messed up. I messed up in not looking at this kid. And that was Darius Leonard. Golly. If we could have had him on our team, woo! That guy, he would have been fun to watch, baby. Can you imagine having him with those horses on the D-line? What? That would have been really good. We would have beaten Alabama that first year.
He has a chance to get a little payback against the
he does
against the Clemson
I guarantee
Texans.
You it's somewhere in his head, or he's using it for a little motivation.
So anyway, that's my call. Let's move on to one of those starred games that I went after.
Right. I like this is a great matchup, dude. Especially after what I saw of the Lions Monday night.
Yep, I've got the next game being, and this is the last of the 1 p.m. being the Minnesota Vikings heading to Detroit to take on the Lions. The Lions are giving the Vikings 2 points. It's a 44.5 over-under on this game. So go ahead and talk.
Yeah, man. Kirk Cousins. Man, were we wrong. He just came to life the past 2 weeks against two bad teams. Right?
Yep.
Man. In 1 week it was Thielen. This week it was Diggs. What do we got this week? A little Thielen and Diggs? I don't know. Actually, no to any of that. No. It's going to be a Dalvin Cook day is what it's going to be because that's what they need to do because Dalvin Cook is a bad man, okay? And this offense runs through him like Carolina's offense runs through McCaffrey. I knew it when he got drafted that year that I thought he could be the best running back in the league. Now, of course, there's McCaffrey. That was the same year. But he is a bad man. However, the Detroit defense on the road against the Packers and Aaron Rodgers on Monday night showed me something. Darius Slay he's badass too, man. He is one of the best corners in the league. He was back. I focused some of my attention during the game when Detroit was on defense, specifically on him, and he's just awesome, dude. He's very smooth with his hips. When the receiver breaks, it's not herky jerky. He's like smoothly is able to adjust and break with them. He has like this sixth sense of knowing which route that the guy's going to run, and I'm sure a lot of that is from studying, man. I mean, this guy is a student of the game. I mean, just you don't get that good unless you are. I just love the way the kid plays. On top of that, man, they've got some players in their front, not just on their line, but in their linebacking core. And I think that Kirk Cousins, they can slow down Dalvin Cook, but what they certainly can do is get to Kirk Cousins and cause him to be the guy that we know and love, the overpaid goofball that came from D.C. Where did Cousins go to? Oh, Michigan State. Michigan State. I liked what I saw out of old man Stafford last week, too, and I expect that to roll again. Kenny Golladay had a good day. I think he could keep going to him. I think Marvin Jones has still got enough left in the tank. And, they got the young Hockenson kid to get involved, especially in the red zone. I think that this is going to be I'm going to go under on this because I think it's going to be lower scoring than you think. And I'm going to take Detroit. You said Detroit is giving 2?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to take them to cover this game. I think they're going to win it, and they're going to cover this too. They're coming home after last week. They know they're not a bad team, but they need to prove it. I mean, they're 2-1. Is that correct?
Yep.
And the Vikings are 4-2, and you got you guys sit at what?
3-2.
3-2. And then leading the division is
Vikings. The Packers at 5-1.
Is the Packers at 5-1. So they're very much in this division. I think they're going to try to, I think they proved to themselves last week because they had that game won the whole time, like I said, until the last second. And I think they're going to get up for this game and prove to themselves that they're worthy of fighting for the lead in this division. I think they're going to take it hard to Minnesota. I still think Cook will do very well, but he'll do very well on a lot of carries.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you on this one. The Lions are brutal to play at home. I mean, go look at what they did with the Chargers. Go look at what they did with Kansas City, giving them a hard time. I just think this is a game where the Lions can get over the hump. I think the Vikings will come back down to earth. I think they will lean on Dalvin Cook, and it just might not be enough in this game. You're going to have one receiver on lockdown with Slay, and Coleman played a great game in the secondary for the Lions and could handle the other. I think they can get some pressure on them, and I just believe the Lions are due for kind of one of these hard-fought games to go their way, especially after that Chiefs game and that Packers game. So I myself am going to take the Lions in the points, and I'm also going to go with the under in this game. So now we're going to move on to the 4 o'clock slate. All right, so we are going to hit the Chargers and the Titans first. The Titans are the home team. They're giving 2 points to the Chargers, who are limping in after 2 terrible performances in a row. Titans, not really a very strong team this year, but they are got the home field advantage on a team coming from the West Coast, playing in the Central Time Zone. Over-under on this game is 40.5. What do you like? What don't you like? What do you see?
I've said it before. Unfortunately, Mr. Rivers, I think, has kind of hit a wall. I think that they're very fortunate to have Hunter Henry back because it gives him another outlet, quite frankly, because he's not seeing the field the way he used to. He's not delivering the ball the way he used to. It just doesn't seem right. We've talked about the whole Melvin Gordon coming back into the fold, messing up the groove that the Chargers had at the start of the season when Eckler was getting it rolling. I don't think they'll veer away from that, man, unfortunately. I think it would behoove them to keep Eckler as the lead and roll with him and spell him a bit with Melvin Gordon, especially for the contract they're going to face at the end of the year with Gordon. But you know, who knows why these teams do what they do or the management does what they do. On the other side of the ball, the Titans, none that impressed, but I do think that the Chargers' defense was supposed to be that, good defense. Supposed to be good last year. That's another thing I'm not impressed by. However, Tennessee's defense, I don't want to say they impressed me, but, much like the Colts and much like the Detroit Lions, I think they're very underrated. I think this is a stingy defense. We saw them firsthand when they took care of the Falcons, who can, put a lot of points on the board, and they really shut them down. I think that with Tannehill taking the helm now that they benched Mariota, might be a bonus for them. I mean, he certainly delivers the ball quicker and throws a better ball than Mariota does. He's got weapons. I don't think Corey Davis is as good or will ever be as good as everyone thought, especially with where he got drafted. But Adam Humphries is great in the slot. He's reliable, runs good short routes, has great hands. Delaney Walker's a great tight end. He's Mr. Consistent. I love the rookie A.J. Brown. He'll give Tannehill an opportunity to go downfield with him. And honestly, I think this game is going to be Derrick Henry, and just have him get off. He does well on his own turf. He's been a little lackluster the past couple weeks after a pretty decent game. I think it was like 3 weeks back, and so I think this is a week where you see him kind of get going again. And I think that the Chargers are just going to get stifled. It's a scenario that I'm buying into your West Coast team traveling east. It causing problems, and I think this is one of those games because we talked about San Francisco traveling to D.C., and they are not going to have a problem. This one, however, I think that the Chargers will have a problem with the Titans. The Titans are giving the Chargers two.
Yep.
Yeah, again, they're at home, so it's like that pick'em I said. I think that I think I'm going to go with the Titans to get it done in this one, man. Merely because I think they have the better defense and the better run game. I wouldn't have said that maybe, or I would have questioned it if they had been continuing to roll with Eckler, but I'm not convinced that it's right with what they've done, bringing Gordon back into the fold and just looking at Eckler as second fiddle when he did so well. Now, he will be involved in the passing game, but all the touches, the majority of the touches from the ground game are going to go to Melvin Gordon. So I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think they'll win this game. I think it could be close, just because I'm not sure any offense can be that explosive. But I think that Tennessee's defense is going to do a better job and give Rivers problems. I'm going to go with them to cover the 2, and I'm going to go over on the 40.5. Though it's a low number, though I think that it's not going to be a ton of points. There really doesn't need to be for them to go over on this thing. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Again, I'm gonna play this one a little bit off the gut. The Chargers have to get right now. They have to. The Titans
don't have to do anything.
Well, the Titans are in transition. It's clear. It's clear that they're not going to go and re-sign Mariota, or else why bench him after 6 games. I don't know how much of an upgrade Tannehill is. He probably is over current state Mariota, but I don't look at him as a guy of the future for the Titans.
You're going to have to look for the draft.
Yeah, so I think they're playing a little bit more draft slot, whereas the Chargers, again, they don't have somebody to come in and be their savior or their next in line behind Phillip Rivers. I mean, they got Tyrod Taylor, who, maybe can come in and spell him, but I mean, that experiment of can he be the future has been done in a few places and hasn't worked out. He's up and down. So I think the Chargers they're going to be forced, I guess my point is, to commit to what's working. If they don't, and I everything you said I agree with, like in the sense that I don't think the Chargers are spectacular, but I think they've got more offensive firepower than what they've shown, and there's going to be desperation. So I'm going to give them this one shot to prove that they at least can play with some desperation and explode a little bit offensively. I don't know that if Melvin Gordon gets the touches that he's been getting or more, it's a recipe for disaster for this weekend and every other weekend going out. And I'll have given up on this team because it was a bad coaching decision. It was bad that they did it a second week in a row. I just think, they're going the wrong way for a team that has invested a lot in their defense. It's still got a relatively young defense. Again, still short Derwin James. But
and he's incredible. But, last year they were without, I think, Bosa for a while. Even when they were all there, it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. Now,
Great.
And Derwin James is unbelievable, but he's not gonna. It's not like if he was there that it would make this defense a world of difference. Something's not right.
Yep, I agree. I mean, you spent number 2 pick in the draft on Joey Bosa. I think he was the number 2, right? And then you got Melvin Ingram, who was lights out 2-3 years ago. And they are stumbling. I agree with it.
I mean, maybe it's their D coordinator. Maybe that's because it seems like they have some pieces.
But Lynn is a defensive guy, so I would have expected
see how that
more.
Works out with the Falcons.
Yep, yeah. So anyway, I think I'm gonna look for the Chargers to get to figure out a way to get a little bit more explosive. I think I think their desperation and what they're trying to do is different than what the Titans are doing. But I do think they could score some points because I think Tannehill can put some points on the board too as well. At least more so than what Mariota has been doing. So I'm going to take the over, but I'm going to look for the Chargers to have a bounce back they must have because their division's not easy. I mean, they got a Broncos team that's improving ahead of them or really tied with them. And then you got a Raiders team that seems to be on a little bit of the come here right now. And then, they got the Chiefs. So if not now, then when? And this is a game they have to have. So I'm going to take the Chargers, and I'm going to call the over, too, as well.
Okay. What do we got next?
We've got one that's kind of an interesting battle to me. You got the Baltimore Ravens heading to the Seahawks. It's a 3.5-point spread for the Seahawks and a 49 over-under on this game. A lot of interesting stuff that could happen in this game. I guess I'll start with the Seahawks. In my mind, Russell Wilson right now a definite front of the line. Maybe not the number one, but definitely in the top 3 of MVPs to me. Mm-hmm. He is really carrying this team right now. Their defense is starting to come together. I like what their secondary has done with all the losses they've taken. I think they've rebuilt that secondary pretty well. Jadeveon Clowney has played a pretty good role in that defense, and they've got some tackling machines in the linebacking core with Hendricks, Wagner, and I'm missing someone else. Who am I missing? Right. So this is a team that's I think got a lot going on. I think in this game they are going to be able to keep Lamar Jackson from explosive running. They're not going to keep him totally from running, but I think being explosive.
They got Ezekiel Ansah too.
Yep, yeah. So they've got some pieces there on defense, and they come together a little bit more. They've still been giving up a fair amount of points in games.
Yeah, I mean the secondary has gotten better to your point from a couple weeks ago where it was really porous.
Yep.
But they've started to tighten it up a little bit, and it's looked much better the past 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Here's my thing is the Seahawks, I kind of mentioned it about the Bills. The Seahawks just are not blowing the doors off anybody, but they're winning. And so I like the Seahawks to win this game. Well, that half point is really getting me on the spread. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm going to go with the Ravens and the 3.5. And I'm going to take the over in this game. I think this game could be more of what Seattle's been playing lately, which is a little bit more high scoring. Their defense has given up some points, but in the end, Russell Wilson just is too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm having a tough time with the spread too. I just, the Seahawks, most of their games have been close. You're talking 32-28, 30-29, 33-27. The only one that wasn't close was 27-10 over the Cardinals. They had a game 21-20 over the Bengals, 28-26 over the Steelers. So they've been close. So I'm going to agree with you on I think Seattle wins the game, but Baltimore covers the spread. Is Marquise Brown playing this week?
Last I checked, the expectation is that he can play, and I'll read my last little blurb on him. But he is definitely questionable, meaning that questionable. Did I say that right?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the point is this. Russ has been doing great, and they've thrown the ball much more this year than they did last year, but they are predicated on running the football, and,
I checked that. They're calling him questionable, but the advice on him right now, and again, this is just Roto World, but is Brown is appearing highly unlikely to return for Sunday's probable shootout in Seattle, as he's got an ankle injury. So
look,
it looks like they're leaning more towards him not playing.
Difference, but there's the guy that could take the top off the defense, and and they've got some from Mark Ingram running the ball to Lamar running the ball to Mark Andrews at tight end being able to catch the short and intermediate ones to having Willie Snead, who will be in the slot, I believe, catching some of those short intermediate ones. It's good to have a guy that can take the top off the defense and open things up underneath for some of those guys.
Yep.
I don't think you're going to see Lamar Jackson roll for 150 yards on the ground like he did last week against this defense and going to Seattle. Weather can always be a factor there. They've got the 12th man of the NFL there.
Yep.
I think that this is going to be a tougher time, but I think that what we've seen out of Baltimore the past, since even though Lamar Jackson went like 100 yards throwing or 150 throwing, 150 running last week, and it was a record. The offense and the team all together, it's not like anything like they're blowing doors. Now, at the beginning of the year, it looked like this could be a team that could blow the doors off people when they played the Dolphins.
Yep.
Okay? So since then, it seemed to have been a bit of a struggle for them. We talked about them leading the AFC North earlier, and I said, that's a team that, though they are leading, I'm still not sold on that. I mean, I know that Pittsburgh's 2, maybe 3 games back, but they're making a surge. They're on a 2-game win streak, and I could see them totally surging right and blowing right past Baltimore come season end and take the division.
I think they've kind of figured out Pittsburgh, again, not to get off on that tangent, but to bring your point, is that's a team that's kind of figuring out how to win with the people that they have right now.
Correct.
And that defense elevating. So you're right. This defense or this division is still wide open with not good records.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, though, they do have these weapons on offense, and they can be explosive. I think that it would be even more reliable to see them, just being an offensive juggernaut if the Baltimore defense was even just some semblance of what they've been in past years. They're not. Their secondary gives up a lot. They're nothing to be. They don't have T-Sizzle in the middle calling that defense, and I think that makes the world of difference because I think that whole front is not, that guy. It's just like Ray Lewis before him. I mean, they're great players, but what they are is they quarterback that defense and put the rest of the front in the right spots. I don't think they have that right now, and they're just not. They don't look the same as the Baltimore defenses that we're accustomed to see.
Yeah, I mean, and they're getting, and usually one of the things, if you think about the defense, they stop the run. They usually have such an aggressive pass rush to go along with some. Maybe not the best corners in the world, but some physical and ability to lock it down for a short period of time.
They don't have it.
And their pass defense has been atrocious this year. And that's where I say, Russell can exploit that.
He can.
At any point
Absolutely.
in the game. And they're not going to be – they're just not they're not the type of team that's going to try to get up on you 21-0. They're going to score on you. I mean, just look what they did to Cleveland. I mean, they were playing from behind in Cleveland, and then when it was go time – Baker went in the toilet, and Russ showed why he's an MVP frontrunner, in my mind.
Yep. So, all that being said, what did you do? You said
I'm going to take the Ravens on the points, and I'm going to take the over in this game.
Okay. Well, then we're exactly right. I thought you said under.
I think I said over. I want the over.
Shouldn't give it to him, folks. All right. I wrote down under.
Rewind and find out if I'm a liar.
Listen, I think Seattle's going to win this game, but I started my conversation on this game off rattling off the scores. They've won, but it's been close. So I just the same as you. That hook bothers me. It could even be 1-2 points. So I'm going to go with Baltimore to cover the 3.5, and I had over 2. Just for shits and giggles, I'll switch mine to under, just so he can be a little contrarian.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Works for me.
All righty, buddy. Next game we are going to talk about is the New Orleans Saints traveling up to Chi-Town. Love Chicago. It's getting cold there. Yeah. Mitch Trubisky going to be back, buddy?
That is the belief as of now. He's been a full participant in practice. Still saying obviously cautiously optimistic with it, but he is a full participant, which is kind of when you were talking about Marquise Brown. He's not been participating the last 2 days. That's what puts his questionable the other way. It's always a sign when he's going to play, when anybody's going to play if they're practicing, especially as a full participant.
Okay. So here's what we got. This is the last of the 4 o'clock slate. There's only the 3. The Bears are giving New Orleans 3.5 points.
Yeah.
The over-under is 38. I said earlier, that's why when we were talking about the Jacksonville, New Orleans, and I went the wrong direction, I started talking all about New Orleans. The one thing I was hitting on is that they've been winning. They're finding ways to win, but their last week was 13-6, and there hasn't been – it's not the New Orleans Saints under Drew Brees able to put up a lot of points.
Yep.
So that kind of is why I see that 38 over under where it is. So you start. It's the Bears, buddy. It's your squad. What you thinking?
All right.
They were on a bye last week.
Yes, Bears were on a bye.
Well, they're coming off a bye. The Saints are coming off that victory against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints and the points in this one, and I'm actually going to take the under. The only way this isn't over to me is if somehow the Saints, which I won't say is impossible, find an offensive explosion. I don't like the idea of I like Trubisky coming back because I know the backup quarterback and he knows the system and The fact is Chase Daniel is a backup in his career for a reason, and he's not going to go and be able to win you a game. While you may say somewhat the same thing about Trubisky, his ceiling certainly appears better, and he's had more bigger games than Chase in his limited time. So, to me, I think the Bears can definitely win this game. The defense definitely favors the Bears. I like the idea that they got, if they're going to take a beating, they get a bye week afterwards. I think that lets that bad taste sit in their mouth for an extra week. Here's what I will say. The thing about the Saints that to me is to the detriment of the Bears is Kamara is actually, he's been fighting through. He's not really practicing. He thinks he's got a shot to play. But really where the Bears have struggled, and Josh Jacobs being an example, and I can go back to some past history, the running style of Latavius Murray actually is more detrimental to the Bears. They just put Akeem Hicks on IR, who is just an absolute stud at really in a 3-4. He plays the DN position, but more of a tackle, more of a 3-technique type position. That takes him out of the lineup. Now, the Bears have very capable backups, but they're not Pro Bowlers. And he's a legit Pro Bowler, if not all pro. And so we've lost that disruption. And this is a guy that's got a running style that's to run more up the middle. So I think that favors the Saints in this matchup. Normally speaking, I'm not as high on Drew Brees when he goes outdoors in adverse weather conditions. His record's not as good, but this isn't Drew Brees' Saints right now. This is this is a team that almost mirrors what the Bears would like to do. And I don't think that's good for the Bears. So that's why I got the Saints on this one. I think the Bears can definitely win it, but I don't see them blowing this open. I definitely think there is a high likelihood this game could be, in the teens for the winner. This could be like a 17-13 game or something like that if it goes the Saints' way. If it's the Bears, I could see the Bears winning, 17-16. It's just not it's one that that's what these teams have played to this point. And I don't know that the Bears can really get an offensive explosion this week with Trubisky coming back with 1 week. And if Chase Daniel plays, then I don't see an offensive explosion at all.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said. I agree with, and I think that this is going to be a tough one for the Bears because the Saints are finding ways to win. It may not be pretty, but they're finding ways to win. Right now at wide receiver, I only see one guy because Trey Burton at tight end hasn't really
done
helped
anything
out at all.
Yep.
And the unfortunate part, and Allen Robinson's been looking great, but he's going to have to deal with Marshawn Lattimore.
Yep.
And Marshawn Lattimore is badass.
Yep.
And so, whenever we're talking about the Saints, especially about their defense, or especially if we were talking fantasy, I'm always like, who's the Eli Apple, the other corner on? Because he sucks.
Yeah, a good thing for the Bears is Taylor Gabriel, who had a 3-touchdown performance against Washington and then at the end of the game got a concussion. He is back. I don't know that he is this really, massive upgrade. One guy I really like, and I would love to see the Bears get him involved, is Javon Wims from Georgia. Kid has caught everything in the preseason. This year when they've targeted him, he's caught it. He's a big receiver. He's physical. He's done really well, but they just have not figured out how to get him the ball yet. A little bit much, probably more so because he mirrors a little bit Allen Robinson in playing style.
Well, I mean, what happened to
Anthony Miller?
Man, the guy scored 7 touchdowns last year. He hasn't seen the field hardly at all.
Well,
why?
The simple fact. Well, one,
especially with Trey Burton, he's a slot guy with Trey Burton.
Yeah, but I think he has lost his spot to Wims, number one, and Taylor Gabriel. But the other part, reality is, the Bears have not run the ball well at all in one game this year. They've committed to it at points, but they haven't had a 100-yard rusher yet this year, and so you lose the middle of the field when you do that. You lose the middle of the field. They don't have to bring as much pressure up front. They're not bringing as many guys in the box for that. A guy like Anthony Miller that's really good at getting behind that, it's just not there. And honestly, he hasn't earned the playing time. So I'm waiting for it too because I think that kid's got a good future, but something's going on right now that's not working.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. And it's maybe more of a gut, but you've said it on a few of these calls that we've made. The Bears have no room to lose. They have no room to lose right now.
Nobody in the North will have room to lose all year.
No, and but especially now, they can't become 3-3 and really be at the bottom of the division. The Saints, on the other hand, though they're only one game ahead, still have a great opportunity to do everything they need to in front of them. They have some bad teams that are coming up on the schedule. Let me take a quick.
Well, you got your two best records in the same division, so you're not going to get both buys out of that division with San Francisco and Seattle.
Right.
So they've got a very good opportunity to earn a bye.
Yes. So I mean, you got they have the Falcons still twice. I think they usually play them once. The Panther they have they do. They have the Falcons twice still. They have the Bucks. They do have the Colts and the Niners. Both of them will be in New Orleans, though. They have the Titans, and then they have the Panthers twice, who are good, but that gives them a chance right there to take the lead on the division.
Yep.
If they're losing or tied, or
they could walk away with it by that point.
Right. So, I think this is a game, especially coming off the bye, and you said it. The Bears haven't run well. I think this is a game where they do run well. I think this is a game where. I'm going to give you my pick. I'm going to take Chicago to win the game. I'm going to take Chicago to cover the 3.5. I'm going to say, 38? Yeah. I'm going to say over, just for shits and giggles and to be opposite you. But I think here's where it is. I think your defense scores tonight on Sunday. And I think that's what it's going to be. Your defense is going to shut them down. It'll be a close game, and you'll see your defense score a touchdown and put them behind the 8 ball. And I just think that your defense is so good that if you do get them down, that it could be a lot of trouble for Bridgewater. This could be a game where it might be similar to the game where he got hurt and went out, which was what? The
Rams game.
The Rams game, early in the year. And he just didn't look ready, and it wasn't great. He was stumbling through the whole thing, and the Rams throttled him 27-9 in that game. This might be, and I like Teddy. I think he's done some great stuff, especially since in Breeze's stead. But this may be a game where he slips up. And again, I think it's your defense can score, and I think that especially if that happens, especially that you'll just continue to pound the rock, man. Just continue to pound the rock because I haven't seen Trubisky throw the ball that well, and if the best guy he has to throw it to has a really good corner on him, it's going to be, even in the passing game, the backs, Cohen and Montgomery, I think it's going to be that type of game. I think your Bears are going to pull this one out because they need it, bro, and it's in Chicago. They need it. So I think motivation-wise, they will be way more motivated coming off a bye at home in the position they're in their division and knowing what they're going to have to deal with the rest of the year. They're going to be much more motivated than the Saints, and that they're going to take this game, and it's going to be over the 3.5.
Never hoped I've been so wrong in my life.
There you go, buddy. Hey. We're going to jump to Sunday Night Football. This, too, is a phenomenal matchup. The two leaders currently, first and second, respectively. The Eagles travel to Dallas and take on the Cowboys in Jerry World. Both of these teams started the year looking like one of them would definitely be the class of the NFC East. I've mentioned it, my Giants, their arrows pointing up. They're not great. I don't expect them to make the postseason, but at what the two leaders of the division, the Eagles and Cowboys, have been doing the past couple weeks, we're one game out.
Yep.
And if we win this weekend, we're going to be tied for second with one of these clowns more than likely. So really kind of funny the way, the Cowboys got it taken to them, especially since their defense has been what everybody has been raving about by the Jets. With Sam Darnold being out with the kissy disease, comes back and just makes them look silly. The Eagles... Honestly, I don't know what their identity is on both sides. If I were to say, here's what I see in the Eagles, this is their identity, it's Fletcher Cox in the D-line. Because their secondary is not very good. I don't know what Carson Wentz in that offense is doing. I think he's a good quarterback, but man, very wildly inconsistent, whether it's the play calling or the weapons or lack thereof, the weapons not doing their job or the lack of weapons. It's just, I like the kid. I like the story coming out of North Dakota State. It may have been a bad pick. I don't know if Carson went. I certainly don't see him lasting a decade.
Who was he the guy? Who was his counterpart in that draft?
Carson Wentz?
Yeah, what draft was he with? What other guy?
Was that the Goff draft?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Goff went first.
Yep.
He's not very good either, so it's not like if the Eagles had gotten to him or picked him, they would have been much better. Maybe they would. I don't know. I actually think they're better off with Wentz in the type of division and system they run. But I just don't know that Wentz is that guy, man. I just don't know that he's that guy. I can't see him there. He led them to a great season that got him in a great record in the postseason, and then got hurt. And you have Foles come in, lead him through the postseason to a Super Bowl victory. I just don't know if that'll happen again. I hope not, because I hate the Eagles. I hate them vehemently.
Yeah, if I was to have a commercial about these two teams, it would be a commercial for Sex Panther by Odeon. These teams,
60%, baby.
They are 60% of the time. These teams are good all the time.
Yeah,
and they smell like gasoline.
Yeah. I got to be honest, Brian. That smells like pure gasoline. Listen, it's a 3-point spread. Dallas is giving 3. Yeah, Dallas is giving 3 to the Eagles. They're at home. It's a pick 'em. I've said it all this broadcast. 49 over under. I don't know. You talk a little bit. I mean, I know for sure I'm going to stay under on this. I'm just not really. I'm still tinkering with my thoughts on the spread. Why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about it?
I'm going to go with this. I guess I can't be any more unsure about a pick than I am right now, because there's such a variance between what you get on these teams on a week-to-week basis. Both of them are the same way. I'm going to go with this as what's going to sway my opinion on it. I think the Eagles are going to win this game. I guess I'll give them the cover on it. Oh, actually,
If
yeah,
they're
no,
gonna
they
win,
would. They would.
then
That's
they
right.
are covering,
Cowboys
yeah.
are giving. Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles, and here's why. It's not really great sound logic, but the Eagles are getting healthier on their offense right now, while the Cowboys are getting more hurt on their offense. Losing Amari Cooper, I believe the Eagles have a shot to get Deshaun Jackson back. They've gotten back, Goddard. They got back Alshon Jeffrey. Again, I'm not all high and mighty on them.
Didn't we just hear that Zach Martin for the guard for the Cowboys is going to be out?
Yeah. So I feel like the health between two offenses that are struggling is going to be my tiebreaker in this. Love to say the Cowboys at home, but let's be honest, they've just gotten their teeth kicked in at home in 2 games too. So
They were on the road last week.
No, but they lost 2 in a row to the Packers and to the
Yep.
the Saints. They were close games, so I'll give them that. I don't know. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that offensive health as the difference in this game. So I'll take the Eagles, and I guess I'm going to take the under 2 on this.
All right. Well, so we both have the under, and you have the Eagles. I'm going to take Dallas, and my rationale behind it is I think not just because I have him in fantasy, but I think this could be an awesome day for Zeke Elliott, especially catching the ball, because where the Eagles can be exploited on defense is right over the middle. And,
And over the top, really.
Yeah, and over the top. But with Amari Cooper being out, I feel like they're going to, ride Zeke running the ball even more than they have thus far, maybe the most they have this season. And 2, he's going to be a guy he looks for more times than not when he drops back to throw if he's running around. And I'll just take Dallas. I'll take him to cover this spread. I'm not feeling it. It's a pick 'em. It could go either way, but just to be a little contrarian for you, like I said, I think the mishmash in the backfield in Philly isn't working. They need to have one guy, and they're just continuing trying to figure out who, or just run with the hot hand. I think again, this could be the biggest workload Zeke has seen this year. He's coming off a great game last week, even in a loss. His statistics were.
He didn't run the ball for a big clip, though. If I remember, he went for 3.5 yards a carry. So he had 28 carries and 105 yards or something like that.
But let me see here.
I might be wrong, but I thought he did.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hold on, I'm going.
Tell me how close I was.
Dallas played.
I got it right here. Stats.
Yeah, here we go. Cowboys. Zeke ran 28 for $105. He did see the end zone. Here's the thing, though. He did have 5 catches for 48 yards. That's 9.6 a clip. That's where I think he's going to be extra. I think they'll run him like that, 28 times, maybe even 30.
I think you're right. I think
he's
they
gonna
have
more
to,
receptions.
They have to, because Dak is a disaster right now.
Yep. So, I could see him definitely having the game of the season for himself thus far, both on the field in the NFL and fantasy, and comparatively speaking, I think Dallas's defense is better than Philly's for sure, or overall. So. I'm gonna ride with that, and to be a little different from you. Well, I'll take Dallas to cover the 3, but I had said earlier I think it's gonna be under. I think it's gonna be low scoring.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice, though.
Mm-hmm.
Don't always try to be a contrarian with somebody that's picking well.
Okay, buddy.
That's my shot for you telling me to pipe down.
You just shut up over there.
That's a shot over the bow.
All right, Monday Night Football, Cats. We got the New England Patriots traveling down to MetLife.
Another team with a massively awesome record for the Patriots.
Yep. It's just unbelievable, though. The Patriots are giving 10 points to the Jets. It's a 43.5 over-under, so that tells me they think there's going to be it's all Patriots, and the Jets not doing much on the scoreboard. But the Jets coming off a big win at home last week. They're home again. Darnold's back. It's taken some off of Le'Veon. You could see he said it, he felt it, and he performed in a way that he felt like there wasn't as much pressure. I feel like he just seemed to run a little more loosely. That's a lot of points. I know it's the Patriots. This is a divisional matchup, though. Even when one team is bad and one team is good, it can be a tight matchup in years past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Jets are very good, but they have a lot of weapons coming back on offense. Their defense, I feel like, has gotten better every week, and they certainly looked good last week, shutting the Cowboys down. I don't know. A lot of people are saying because of the Patriots' schedule that, though the defense has been out of this world, and I think that's what's going to be the difference in this game, certainly is the Patriots' defense. I think they're going to give Sam Darnold fits. A lot of people have been saying since the Patriots' schedule has been weak, how good is their offense? I don't need to know. All I need to know is that, TB12 is sitting back there dishing the ball off, man. Patriots have covered the spread, I think, just about every game this year. We took the Giants last week on the 17, and we were feeling great because it was a 7-point game with 9 minutes, and things looked to be going good. And then in no time, they blew up and covered the spread. I think the Patriots will continue their winning ways. It's Monday Night Football. It's prime time. It's not like they're going to a place that, they're not used to the weather. They haven't been there before. Belichick, he came from the Parcells coaching tree in New York. So he's very comfortable coming home to Giants Stadium. And at the end of the day, it's like I said last week, they were able to score, go from really not looking like they're going to have the spread at all because they're down by a couple scores to even get there, and the Giants were doing decent, to being over the spread in no time.
Yep.
So I know that I'm happy Darnold's look back. I actually would love to see the Jets be on the up and up on the offensive side of the ball with Darnold. He's not a guy when he was drafted that I was like, I thought he was great. Mm-hmm. But I would love to see him get better in the NFL. That would be great. That really would be great. I don't like the Jets. I'm a Giants fan. I don't have as much animosity as I do my divisional teams, but I don't like the Jets. Jets fans are garbage. But I would like to see Darnold with Le'Veon. I'd like to see them come out of the woodwork sometime. Unfortunately, this year is not the year. The team in the AFC East that has a shot at challenging, and that's really kind of where the root of this is which one team can get better to challenge New England one year. Yep. That's not this year. This year it's the Buffalo Bills. So as nice as it was for them to pick up a win, maybe it was they might even still be high off of that win. Having Darnold back and it being more than them just winning. It's like, now look, we knew it. He's back. We got it now. This defense is real good. And they, too, could score a touchdown on this team very easily defensively. I'm going to take the Patriots to cover this 10 points. I am going to... What was the score of our game last week? The final score was 35-14, so that is 49. Ooh, what is the spread on the
43.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I will take the Patriots to cover, and I'll go over.
I am very confident personally in the over. Little less confident in the spread, but I am as well going to take the Patriots too as well in this one. I think it goes one of two ways. They score a lot of points because the Patriots dismantle the Jets, but I think realistically, I think the Jets can score 17 points on this team, and if they can do that and the Patriots can cover, then I think that puts me, right there where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they cover the or hit the over, and I'll take the Patriots in this game.
Good. So that will get us. We appreciate you listening. We will get this up and out as soon as we can, as always. We'll hit you tomorrow. We'll get on the mics again and get some stuff rolling for College Football Week 8. We are on the second half of the college football season, so that should be fun. And
way too fast.
Yeah, I know.
Way too fast.
I know. But hey, the good thing is even after the season, though these may not be coming as lengthy as they will, we will, Gridiron 360 is here to provide you content even when football's not on the TV. That is exactly what we were created for, not just covering all college, NFL, and fantasy, but when you're starving for it in the off season to be able to give you some good nuggets just to listen to and enjoy.
And don't we get the XFL this year? We might have to add them into
we
there and see what a dumpster fire that may become.
I believe the XFL season, though, might be in the fall, though. I don't think it's in the spring.
It's in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, they have the draft coming up. So give us a little something to talk about. It's football, baby. And as always, we will look forward to seeing everybody next time. Where, Dave?
Gridiron 360.
Have a great day.
Life's the same, I'm moving in stereo. Life's the same, except for my shoes. Life's the same, you're shaking like tremolo. Life's the same, it's all inside.